I like McLuhan Moment. They're reading, they're not listening.
Right.
These people are addicted to literacy, whereas he's in the acoustic. He's thinking sonically and they're reading. So they're freaking out because it's like, you've written this thing which is awful. Whereas to acoustic thinkers, it's, oh, I didn't hear that. It sounded different to
Right.
me. So there's this clash
White
because
lives
everyone
matter.
thinks
Why do lives matter? Also,
white lives
the
matter.
shirts, the
Yeah.
shirts. I mean, there's a kind of
Yep.
Stroop test in it, fancy cognitive science term, that Candace Owens' shirt is white with black lettering, and Ye's shirt is black with white lettering. And, you know, it's sort of like, so hers says white lives matter in black letters, and his black shirt says white lives matters in white letters. It's a whole, and one, because we haven't got him on the show yet. We're working on it. Please, God, send us Ye to talk to us about why, you know, like what he may not have been. I suspect, watching him in these interviews, he's conscious of it, but not always at the level that, you know, like, oh, I thought that out perfectly. It more is the way it happens when we're writing in our own poems. And like in the stanza that we're working on right now, we've got an elephant in there for no reason other than it rhymes. But no, there's a reason there's an elephant there. Why is the elephant in the room? We're going to make the elephant mean something, right? And you can get the
that bloody
elephant is going to mean something. You can get something that is significant. You know it's there because it kind of landed on you, and then later you think it out, and then the, you know, scholarship comes in and explains this or that, and the artist is sitting there going, okay, it felt right. And now you've you know, there's a horrible temptation in scholarship to like pin it to the wall and kill it again. You know, the scholarship and corporations do the same thing. Here's that thing that you just said, therefore I know what it means because I'm the scholar and I read it and scan it. And the artist is going, it dropped on me. What are you talking about?
Well, this is the kind of the difference in thinking between the media and the normies and everybody who's in a literate mindset versus the acoustic thinkers of the world. Because acoustic people are not really concerned with things that are printed, right? So it's like, it doesn't matter if you wrote something incorrectly, it's how we're going to communicate it, so like sonically and acoustically, and thinking about what actually is someone trying to say to me, which means then I have to repeat this in order to continue the conversation, because if it's not printed, it disappears unless people are continuously talking about it. So I think with Ye, this first genius stroke was to get everybody talking.
Yes.
It was like, you can write one thing on Twitter, one tiny paragraph, and it exploded the world so that suddenly millions and millions and millions of people are repeating the same phrase and talking about the same phrase. That's the art. That's where I was like, okay, he's done this to get everybody talking. What does he want everybody talking about?
Indeed. So now I have, let's see, I get the slides moving. All right. How I actually at first heard about Ye, and I'd say there was the hat with Trump and things like that, and I was like, okay, so I didn't know why I needed to pay attention to him until back in October 2019. So it feels like, how long ago does that feel like? October 20.
Way back in the dark
3 years
ages
ago.
of
It really isn't that
2019.
long. 3 years ago, on October 26th, Jonathan Pageau was here in Chicago to give a talk at St. John Cantius. And those of you who are true fans of our live stream know that the images that we're showing at the beginning of our mosaic arc here are a window from St. John Cantius and the apse with the resurrected Christ, right? So Jonathan was at St. John Cantius to give a talk on the restoration of sacred art, which is the theme that the canons have for the church, right? It's the Instauratio. Oh God, I've blown my Latin today too. I have no words. Okay,
Now you're banned.
all I have is English. No, all I have is English. I just have English. I'm speaking pirate tonight because we have to do with yay, right? Yay, the pirate. Anyway, so Jonathan, who I'd been on his show some years, a couple of years before that. I think 2017, right? When he wanted to talk to me about Milo, because Jonathan has always been very, very interested in fools, of which Milo is one. And I'd been writing about Milo as a holy fool, right? It's like all through 2016, 2017, I was seeing him play this kind of roly-poly panda role from the Kung Fu Panda, and therefore Vox is right, no one's wrong, pandas exist. Inside joke for those of you who are unauthorized. And Jonathan wanted specifically to talk to me about what I saw in Milo as the fool, and I was like, well, that's cool because you all, if you follow the symbolic world, Jonathan is very interested in the kinds of things that we are here at Mosaic Arc as well. It's like how stories fit together, how patterns and images arise out of this mosaic. And in October 2019, Jonathan was talking to us in Chicago, which for him was significant because Kanye West then had just released his Jesus is King album, like the day before. and so Jonathan, in his talk, he retitled it Kanye West and the Restoration of Sacred Art, and opened with a little meditation on what he saw Ye doing in his Sunday services, right? Is that what they were called? The Sunday services. And he had, I'm showing now some images from Jonathan's talk, where Ye is there with the Jesus is King, the Blue album, and then the sort of performance layout of one of his Sunday shows, which every time anybody's seen that picture online in the last 24 hours when I've been advertising this, it looks like an eye. So there's the grassy hill and the people in the middle, and the ring in the middle, and then I think it's meant to look like an eye. It probably is. I mean, Ye seems to set these things up. He is, of course, in very sort of plain street clothes stuff, and I've been trying to think about, like, what does Ye look like gesture wise, and I think wearing the street clothes fashion is one of it. He's dressed in t-shirts, which may be very expensive or have series of pokes on them, but he's in t-shirts and hoodies. He's worn hoodies and caps in all of his interviews recently. There's something that he's saying through those clothes, definitely. But that with these Sunday performances, he was very purposefully saying, all the demons let him know this is a mission, not a show. So there's something sacred in the way that the audience participated in the music. And Jonathan talked about that. You can see it in the video that he posted it from Cantius, how Ye was at that point already conscious of trying to contrast the participatory mission engagement with the music, be in the music, with the usual sort of rock star performance where there's someone on stage with lights, out from the stage or on the stage, and you as audience are separated from the music, and you're passively there, right? The people coming to the Sunday services were meant to be part of the performance and the music.
Yeah, it's become more liturgical.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. I was just thinking, as you were talking about the way he dresses, it was kind of like, when Mary Magdalene's in the garden the morning after the crucifixion, and she sees someone she thinks is the gardener. It turns out to be the Lord. It just kind of reminds me of that kind of like shape-shifting aspect to Christ, that he's sort of walking around and making himself look like a simple gardener, and that kind of stuff. So there's definite elements of that tricksterism there. Um,
Yes, to just sort of disguise as what is he? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, which is why it's so mind blowing that everyone was uh, taking him literally.
Well, so now I have the tweet showing that one of the many tweets. Actually, they're not. He doesn't tweet that often, even though Elon is sort of welcomed him back on the platform and things like that. But
Mm.
he's tweeting a response to Curie's. I want to say Curie, and that's not the way they say his name. Um, that Kanye West shares a clip from Kyrie's response along with Bible verse, John 19:19, and Pilate wrote a title and put it on the cross, and the writing was, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. Over which Ye wrote, you can't be an anti-Semite when you know you are Semite. And it's like talking about the literate and the visual. And so Twitter is, it's kind of this mixture of both, right? It's literacy and it's visual, and you can show videos and you can have, but it is it's very verbal. The things that people seem to get upset about are the verbal elements. And what you're saying is like they're reading and they're writing back, and they're not listening. They're never seem to be listening to what he actually says about being Jew. Right, he said that several times. I'm not Jewish. I'm Jew, and then he'll say he'll like I have the next one, which Rolling Stone played off of back in 2006, The Passion of Kanye West, and dressed him as Jesus, for goodness sake. Long before Ye, as far as I know, is making Jesus is King album.
Yeah, this was coming for a while in the mythological soup that we're living in. Yeah, it was happening for a long time. Well, that's why I wrote about this element to this story when I published the article for Gab, the little blog post that I did regarding Kanye as the Ethiopian eunuch figure. Called Vending Machine Diaries, but it was a kind of continuation on all this confusion of identity that everybody has in the corporate environment versus the Christian world, and the way that the Christian world would think about these kinds of things. And I've probably said it several times already on our streams, but the main basis of that blog post and the theme running through that is the Ethiopian eunuch being an Israelite that comes up from Africa to Jerusalem, and that this event was recognized by the evangelist Philip as a genuine meeting of an African Israelite. So this is something that has been in Christian thought for so long that we have stained glass windows in Britain that depict this event, right? And yet everyone lost their minds over it on Twitter. It's just very strange. So the more he was tweeting, the more he was posting, the more outraged everyone was getting over this. I thought, oh, I have to make some kind of comment on this, because now we're dealing with a contest of Christian thought versus the corporate vending machine view of the races, and this is why he's upsetting everybody so much. Yeah, so I put it up there, mentioning Candace Owens, of course, because Candace's namesake is the famous queen that sends her eunuch up to Jerusalem. So the parallels in this were just too good. It was too juicy to ignore. And I wasn't really worrying about the offense as much as the amazing emergence of this kind of ancient Christian story in real time on the internet now. It was like magnificent.